And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Llamaland, which, by the way, is one word, even though it's split into two words here in the cover. Llamaland. Okay, it's fun to say. It's a bright colored game, and it's a family game. It's the Llamatastic family game, designed by Phil Walker Harding. Now, Phil Walker Harding is a great designer. Phil Walker Harding, who burst on the scene a little over a decade ago, is really good at taking simple concepts and producing a game that's fun to play. They're not necessarily chock full of theme, but they're very sound mechanically. And he's had some very strong contenders for this over the past few years. A couple that this game we're talking about feels very similar to are Barren Park, where you build a wildlife preserve full of bears, and Gingerbread House, where you build a gingerbread house that you're trying to get kids to come visit. But they're very abstracted, and they both use these Tetris-style shapes, which are also here in Llamaland. So let's take a look at this game, see what it does as you try to collect your llamas using potato, corn, and cacao beans. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get a random start board. You see there's one here. Either side you can have face up in front of you. One player is going to get the start token, and players might also get coins based on turn order. So if you start later on in the game, you can get a coin or more. Players will also have 3 of these tiles and 4 of these markers, and the game begins. It's pretty easy on a player's turn. You have to take a tile from the top of one of these 5 piles here. So there are 5 different shapes here, and the different icons on them are different per shape, but they are the same on both sides. Once I take a shape, I have a couple options that I can do with it. One thing I can do is I can extend my land. When this happens, I'm basically just placing it adjacent to the land I have out there. Now, this doesn't really do anything for me, but it does make the area that I have larger. And as long as at least one thing is orthogonally adjacent, I can do that. Now, after you extend, and only after you extend, you can put a marker on one of these cards. At the beginning of the game, you're going to randomly put out some cards from both purple and blue. And you can place a marker on one of these cards, and you place it in the top available slot. So if someone's already there, you'd place it in another one. And if you accomplish that goal at the end of the game, that's how many points you're going to get. Every time you extend, you can put out a marker. If all your markers are already on the board, you can always move one of your markers to a different spot if you think that, that I'm not going to accomplish this one goal, but I'll accomplish another one. Another thing you can do with a tile is you can build. After I take a tile, instead of extending, I could put a tile on top of other tiles. Now, every thing underneath it needs to be supported, and you can't put a tile directly on top of another one. So you can see I have one of these U-shaped tiles. I can't do that, but what I might do in this case is I might build it here. Whenever you build a tile in this game, each spot that you cover is going to give you a benefit. Now, 3 of the different spots are going to give you corn, potatoes, and cacao beans, the 3 resources of the game. Some spots, when you cover them, are going to give you coins, which are a wild resource in this game. When you cover one of these spots here, a house card, you're going to get to take one of the townspeople and add them to a queue in front of you. There will be some face-up characters next to the board, and also you can always take the top one from the deck too. And these will do various things. Like, for example, on my turn, I can trade a cacao bean into a coin, or vice versa. I can turn a potato into a cacao bean, etc. This says when I cover up a town, I'll get a coin besides getting another character. This says if I cover up all 3 resources at the same time, I get 2 coins. This one says if I cover up 2 potatoes, I get a 3rd potato. And most of the cards are some variation on these themes. Having these in front of you give you more options. Your place can go up as many levels as it's possible, so if I, for example, build here and then put this one here, and then later on I can put this on top of this. But sometimes you might want to put things in such a place, but it just doesn't work. So let's say, for example, I want to add this tile and put it here on the board. And you'll see part of it is sticking off the board at the bottom. Well, I'm not allowed to do that, except I have 3 of these tiles I can use over the course of the game. So I could put this one here, and then I would be able to place that there. And it's up to you on how you're going to want to use these. So maybe later on I go, I want to put this tile here. Oh, okay. I'll cover this spot up, and now I can put that tile here. And then later on I want to play a T, and I'll put this here, which allows me to place the T like that. But you can only do that 3 times over the course of the game. Now, why are you getting all these resources? Well, you're trying to get 4 of the same resource. If you get 4 of the same resource, you can trade them in for a llama. Now, coins, like I said, are wilds, but you can use at most 2 coins as wilds. But here I could turn in, for example, 3 potatoes and a coin to take a potato llama. Llamas are going to be placed next to the board at the beginning of the game, a certain number based on the number of players. You're going to draw them from a deck, and then you're going to stack them from the highest number to the lowest number. So if I spend 4 potatoes to take a potato llama, I'm going to take this one here, which is worth 12 points. The next person to take a potato llama is also going to get 12 points, but after that, you see they go down to 11 and can go all the way as low as 5. Also, when you take a llama, you have to take a physical llama and put it in your field, in an empty field that doesn't have an icon anywhere. Now this does 2 things. One, many of the different blue cards will have you, for example, this one says, have 4 llamas that are on different levels that are in a straight line. Doesn't matter if they're on different levels or not, but in a straight line. So you might be putting llamas down to try to score those cards, but also you can't put tiles on top of llamas, so they will get in your way. The game is going to continue. Players are going to be taking turns back and forth, just taking a tile, placing it. But as soon as there's only 1 type of llama left card, or when all but 4 land tiles are gone completely, then the game will end. You're going to score points for your llama cards that you got here. So that, for example, 12, you'll add them up. You'll score points for your card bonuses if you got them. And then your extra crops and coins are worth a few points. Whoever has the most points is the winner. The components for the game are really nice. I mean, the tokens are pretty thick tokens, but they're pretty easy to distinguish between the 4 different types of tokens. These tiles, it does feel like they picked a group of tiles that you're always going to go, oh man, I want to take this tile, but for some reason it doesn't fit in exactly how I want it to fit in. Great. That's what they want you to do. The llama cards are fine. They all look the same, and they all look like a wooden llama. And it's, of course, fun to have all these little wooden llamas in the game. As I said, I think the components for the game are fine. There's nothing great or bad about it. Maybe I might complain these tokens are a little small, but that's very, very minor. And I thought the rules were really well done. And the rules have a few variants that you can do at the end of the game. You can, instead of using the different cards, there's gold cards. Instead of getting points, for example, having a bunch of corn llamas, whoever has the most gets 15, second most gets 12, 9 at the end of the game. So there's a few things like that, and a few other variants you can play from. So there's no question here that this is essentially a themeless game. Yes, you are building, yes, you could say, look, it's like the terraces there as you build these different spots, and there's llamas, and wow. Yeah, you're collecting resources, turning them in to get cards that are worth points, using shapes. And in fact, this kind of feels like halfway cross between Gingerbread House and Barren Park, the games I talked about earlier. What it is on your turn, you sit there and go, all right, I'm going to take a tile. I'm going to either extend out my stuff, which is not particularly a fun action to do if you think about it, but you get to, pick a point scoring thing, and then placing the tiles on top, which is fun because you're like, ooh, how many things can I cover? And that's pretty fun. As you sit there and try to think, how can I cover? You build up to multiple levels. You realize you're running out of spots. You spread out and build more. As soon as you get 4 resources, you grab a llama. You're trying to get as many llamas as quickly as you can because, hey, a 12-point llama is better than a 6-point llama, right? It's double the points. But you're also trying to accomplish your goals. So one of the goals that I showed in this video is 4 corn llamas. If you're playing a 3-player game, there's only 8 out there total. If you're playing a 4-player game, there's 11 corn llamas out there. Well, it's going to be hard for more than 2 people. Actually, it's impossible for more than 2 people to get 4. It's even possible that nobody will get 4. So you kind of might really start trying to get corn. Someone else might try to stop you. So there's a little bit of that going on. There's not a ton of interaction between players other than you took the llama I wanted, or you're higher on the score part than me. Most of it is done in front of you. And especially if you're playing with 3 or 4 players, don't get too caught up in the tiles that are on the top there because you have no idea what your opponent's going to take. So on your turn, you look. You're looking at the shape, but you're also looking at the resources on these because while they don't count as you set the tile down, they do count when you put something on top of it. So if you're not putting anything on top of it for a good long while, you might think, who cares? I agree. The different characters that are out there, that they're interesting. They're not super game changers, but you can get nice little combos. I put this on top of this. If I get 2 potatoes, I get a 3rd potato. And then I have a character that lets me turn a potato into a corn, and I have another card that lets me turn a potato into a coin. Suddenly, not only did I get the potato, but I got the 2 extra corn. I need to grab that corn llama so I can get that corn majority. Sounds a whole lot less exciting when I say it out loud, right? But this is a solid game. Now, I know the question ahead of time is going to be, is it as good as Gingerbread House? It's more of a game than Gingerbread House. Gingerbread House is a lighter game. Is it better than Barren Park? No, I like Barren Park better. But I also have to think maybe some of that's because the theme in Barren Park is a little stronger. I'm making a park of bears. This one, I don't really care about the theme, but it is fun to build visually to have this 3-dimensional land with llamas all over it. And to that end, I think that's fun. It's easy to get into. There are interesting tactical decisions you're going to make over the course of the game, and I think it's going to be another game that folks like from Phil Walker Harding. So that's Llamaland. Check it out. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching the Dice Tower.
Dice Tower judgment approved.